Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're all having a good day. So yeah, this is gonna be my official prediction for Luis Ortiz versus Andy Ruiz Jr. Before I say anything more, I just want to say that I will upload my Joshua versus Usyk prediction video. But I just thought that I would get this one out of the way. So yeah, that being said, let's get into this one. So both guys are coming off two wins. Ruiz is coming off a win against Chris Arreola, whereas Ortiz is coming off a win over Charles Martin. Let's talk about both of those fights. So let's talk about the Ruiz one, considering that one happened first. So, was I impressed with that win by by Ruiz? Not really. I think Ruiz really could have won that fight by knockout, and I don't think that to get dropped by an out-of-prime Chris Arreola, the same Arreola who's been knocked out by Vitaly Klitschko, as well as Wilder, as well as Bermane Stiverne. I don't know. I just think that Ruiz... I know Ruiz isn't, the best long-range fighter and stuff, but, still, come on, man. And I do give Chris Arreola credit, but I just think that if someone like Bermane Stiverne was able to beat Chris Arreola, I don't see why, by knockout anyway, I don't see why Ruiz couldn't do the same. The most amount of damage that Ruiz did in that fight was basically what happened was he, hit Arreola's arm and it sort of got injured or whatever, right? It was like as Lennox Lewis was saying live, it was like a dead wing or something, but I'm not sure what happened. He just injured his arm for a second, and that was it. But aside from that, Ruiz came back later, started to outbox and just beat up, or not beat up, but just beat Arreola by decision. Ruiz, I think he was at a lighter weight during that fight, so that maybe could have played a factor that the weight cut from when he fought Joshua in the second fight to that one maybe would have been, very drastic, or the weight loss, I should say. But I still think that it was either that he really just underestimated Arreola, like he didn't even train or something, or there was some other factor that he just wasn't motivated or something. So yeah, that's how I view that fight. Now, on to Ortiz versus Charles Martin. I think that fight was I wasn't impressed too much with that fight. Look, before you say anything, you do have to give Luis Ortiz credit for, fighting past the age of 40. You know what I mean? Not many fighters can do that, and he showed he can do it. Do I think that was such a great performance? No. And the reason I think that is because Ortiz, guys, let's just be real. Charles Martin he's probably the worst, if not one of the worst, heavyweight champions in history. You know what I mean? He won a vacant belt. It's like when Wilder beat Bermane Stiverne, the same Stiverne who won a vacant belt against I can't remember who he beat or he won it against, but still, that's the point. Is yeah, it's not like he was a legitimate champion, right? And that was one of AJ's easiest wins. That he got the knockout within two rounds. You know what I mean? And ultimately dominated Charles Martin. Whereas Ortiz, on the other hand, struggled against Charles Martin, right? He got caught with a overhand right, and, looking at that shot, I was like, okay, cool, that's, fine, Martin has enough power to put someone down like that, to knock someone down like that. But then later in the fight, he gets dropped with a jab. I'm like... That's the second time he's been dropped with a jab in a fight, because people don't realize this, but in the first Wilder fight, he got dropped with a similar shot, just with a stiff jab, So it's I don't know, dude. It's like I said, I wasn't too impressed. Ortiz ended up getting the knockout, or the TKO, whatever. But Martin, I don't know. Like I said, I've never seen him as a high level fighter. He's kind of like a mini Southpaw Wilder, is the way I view him. He's just. He has some power, right? And that's kind of it. He's sort of like a one-trick pony. Sure, you could say that he maybe does technically some things better than Wilder, but still, I think Wilder is, I think Wilder has a better chin for one, and I also think that, Wilder uses his advantages more and stuff. So that's how I view that. But anyway, that being said, my point is that I wasn't too impressed with both guys, both their last performances, But yeah, anyway, let's get into who I think is going to win this fight. So this fight, I think both guys can win this fight. I do favor one guy over the other. But before I get into that, I think we should discuss like how both guys can fight, or how the fight will play out. So I think if both guys try to go for the knockout against each other, I think Ruiz should win. The only thing I worry about Ruiz in this fight is he doesn't have much southpaw experience on a professional level. He's sparred guys like Martin and Usyk who are southpaws, but he's not. We haven't seen him in an actual fight. An actual professional fight where he's fought and beaten a southpaw. So that could may play a factor in this fight. Now, Ortiz, on the other hand, has fought southpaws. He's fought orthodox fighters. So, I don't think Ruiz is going to be anything that new to him, right? But, that being said, I think considering he's sparred Usyk in the past and they're training partners, or they were at one point, I think he should be able to. It shouldn't be too much of a problem. So that being said, though, I think if they turn it into a brawl, like if both guys go at each other and stuff, I think it just takes one like hook or uppercut by Ortiz, and I think he should be able to like catch Ortiz right on the chin and stop him and wobble him and all that stuff. However, if it's more of a boxing match, which I think Ortiz's best way to win this fight is if he makes it a boxing match, because if he fights, if he's able to just outbox Ruiz, because I do think he's the better boxer than Ortiz. So if he tries to outbox Ruiz, then he should be able to win by a decision. If he wants to win, he should basically do what AJ did in their rematch, or what Parker did. You know what I mean? The Parker fight was a lot closer, but the AJ fight, AJ completely dominated Ruiz and all that stuff. You know what I mean? But the thing with that AJ fight is that AJ wasn't really trying to knock out Andy Ruiz. He was more so trying to go to a decision. Me personally, as an AJ fan, I didn't think that was like the best performance by AJ. He boxed well, but I just didn't like I didn't like the amount of running and holding he did. I thought he was just sort of, whatever you call it, like overcompensating. And it was just, I don't know, it was that type of fight. It was like watching a Tyson Fury fight when he fought Vladimir Klitschko, where he was just running and holding a lot. So, I just wasn't not the biggest fan of that performance. I was glad AJ won, but just how he won was, could have done better in terms of like putting more intensity behind his punches and, not being so like, I don't know, worrying so much about getting like caught with a shot and all that stuff. But with Ortiz, I think the point is that I think Ortiz should do the same thing. Basically just keep him on the outside with a jab and sort of just look to box with him. I don't think Ortiz can do it as dominant as AJ can, but I think he could win a decision if he does that, right? Now, in terms of how I do see this fight happening, I think Ortiz is going to try and box with Ruiz. I think he's going to do that, and I think he's going to have some success. But I think if he like catches Ruiz as well, I think he also will. He's going to want to go for the knockout, and I think that's when Ruiz is going to come back and catch him with like a big shot, and then, that's when I think Ruiz will, catch Ortiz and rock him, and then eventually get the stoppage. So my official prediction is I'm going with Andy Ruiz Jr. I think Ruiz is going to try and make it a brawl, while I think Ortiz is going to try to make it a boxing match at times, but I think he's going to get too, whatever you call it, confident, and I think he's going to make the same mistake AJ made when they fought in the first fight, where he was just trying to like force the knockout, And, the thing is, I don't think Ortiz hits harder than Joshua, so I don't see Ortiz dropping Ruiz unless it's like a flash knockdown, sort of like in the Areola fight. But even then, I don't know. Here's what I'll say. If Ruiz wins, if Ruiz loses, if Andy Ruiz Jr. loses this fight by knockout, I don't want to see another Ruiz fight, alright? Because look, he showed he's had a good chin. He showed that he had a good chin in the Joshua fight, both of them. And he showed that he's had a good chin, or that he had a good chin in the Joseph Parker fight. As well as, other fights as well. So, in my opinion, there should be no reason for him to lose this fight by a knockout. So, I think if anyone's going to get knocked out, I think it's Ortiz. I think Ortiz will get knocked out. So, that being said, I'm going Ruiz with this one. I think it should be like probably a stoppage in like the early to mid rounds, I just don't see Ruiz getting the knockout, especially at this stage in his career. Do I care who wins this fight? Not really. I'm not a big fan of either guy. I don't know, I just don't like it when fighters, sort of, I don't know, feel self-entitled to title shots. I mean, like Ortiz was calling Joshua out right after he got knocked out by Wilder in their second fight. So it's like, you know what I mean? That just doesn't make sense. You can't just come off a loss and then just expect a title shot like that, I also think Ruiz is also just the better, or the more improved, the more, he's proved himself more at a championship level. He's fought better names like Parker, and, he beat Joshua, which is his best win. Whereas Ortiz, I mean, what's his best win? His best win is Bryant Jennings, or that's probably it, is Bryant Jennings or whatever. He's not really beating anyone. The highlight of his career was that he rocked Wilder in that first fight and then sort of stunned him in the second fight, but that was it. Other than that, he's not really beating anyone at a high level. So I don't know. I think Ruiz should win this fight. You know what I mean? Unless Ortiz boxes him for 12 rounds like Joshua did, then I see him winning a decision. But even then, I don't think it's going to be as dominant as when Joshua did it, or as when Parker did it, so, yeah. Do I see either guy becoming a champion? No, right? I don't see Ruiz becoming a champion again. I don't see Ortiz becoming a champion again, especially, he's not beating Fury. I mean, both guys aren't beating Tyson Fury. Both guys aren't beating Anthony Joshua. Both guys aren't beating Alexander Usyk, right? And they're not even beating Wilder, I'll be honest, I don't see Ruiz beating Wilder at all, because styles make fights, and it just takes one right hand by Wilder, I mean, I give Ruiz a puncher's chance, maybe, but even then, it's I just don't see, I just don't see him winning that fight, so, yeah, this is sort of just a heavyweight fight and all that stuff, so, we'll see, but, yeah, anyway, like I said, I'm going to upload my Joshua versus Usyk video soon, or I'm going to make it soon, and, yeah, you guys will see who I'm backing in that fight, or who I think is going to win that fight. But anyway, you let me know who you guys think is going to win this one. Hope you all have a good day. Take care and peace.